delighted to say now we have Shane Curran joining us. Shane, any particular thoughts on our hurling power rankings?
Good morning, guys. Sorry, I wasn't tuned into it. Unfortunately, Shane and myself and hurling now, I wouldn't really just be. It's not a game that I'm a bit like maybe Dónal Óg on the other side. I'm not really an aficionado of hurling, even though I enjoyed watching the games last weekend. They were very good. They were excellent. I think when the best teams played, it's great. I think when you see poor teams playing, it's a different game. But that's just my opinion. I still think Limerick will probably have a say in that, Ireland, though.
Yeah.
Seeing as you brought it up, you were hardly too happy with Dónal Óg's comments about the Tailteann Cup, and even the fact that he didn't exactly merit those comments last Sunday either.
No, well, what I was more disappointed was, obviously when Joanne Cantwell kind of semi-attacked him on Sunday on the hurling show. I don't know why when somebody says something that they're not prepared to just stand behind it and come at me. He was trying to row back on it. I think sometimes we do look at, we're all in this punditry game and we give opinions, and maybe sometimes the opinions we give aren't really are through feelings. But when you say something, just stick to your guns and don't be turned just because there's a woke community out there that wants you to turn. The remarks he made, I thought were in poor jest. But there is that kind of, I think, type of hurling snobbery anyhow across the GA in some cases. The best field game in the world and all this sort of stuff. To me, football, when it's played well, is as good a game as any. And I think hurling is suffering through maybe from a lot of different tactical issues and tactical ploys, and they've gone away from the traditional game that the older, certainly, fraternity would like to see. Sometimes something similar to football, but I think in some ways you've even a better spectacle. So look at it. You can be critical, I think, of any organisation, or any part of the organisation. Critique is important for people to get better, but I think sometimes you've got to just be respectful as well that there are players who like to play other games, and be it handball, be it basketball, be it rugby, or be it soccer, or Gaelic, hurling, or football. I don't think it matters once people are playing, and they're playing at a level that they can compete in. I think it's important, and I suppose that the irony of the whole lot is I think there's probably 5 or 6 cups in hurling, so it's not just about the McCarthy Cup. It's Christy Ring, it's Rory Maher, it's so many more others, and I think by being disrespectful to the Tailteann Cup, he was in effect being very disrespectful as well to those cups that the lesser hurling counties play for. And I think it's it's no different to maybe Westmeath or Roscommon winning a Christy Ring or a Rory Maher or whatever it may be. That's as important for those lads and their ambitions as it is for the Kilkennys, the Galways, and the Corks to win the Lee McCarthy. So look, it is what it is. Sometimes I think these things are a storm in a teacup too. But it keeps lads busy, and it keeps lads talking and all that sort of stuff.
It's funny you said "come what may." He should stand over his comments, "come what may," because that was the name of his autobiography, actually. Funnily enough, but the last thing I'll ask you: you're obviously a football man watching hurling. Do you think a lot of football tactics have infiltrated hurling now? Do you see a completely different game than 10, 15 years ago? Are they starting to morph into each other a hell of a lot?
I suppose, to be honest, I don't really watch enough of hurling to say that I'd be familiar with a lot of the tactics of that. But I do see that a lot of it is the short retaining of the puck from puck outs, and the running game where it's a hand pass off a catch, and the lack of duels. I suppose really the lack of ground hurling has changed as well, obviously significantly over the years. But I think a lot of coaches now are being informed by different games. I see a lot of. I watch a lot of obviously Gaelic football and soccer and things like that, and rugby, and in particular ice hockey, and I can see you can see a kind of an influence coming across those games as kind of hybrid coaching and taking the bits and bobs of and the goods and bads of different sports. And yes, there have been morphed into Gaelic football, they've been morphed into hurling, I suppose, to a certain extent, and sometimes that's a good thing. I don't think that there's a reason to kind of stay or keep a game within the confines was born out of. And coaches will look to develop, and they will look to develop certain areas of the game. It's actually interesting listening to the Westmeath manager the other day. I thought he was very, very funny. He actually binned all his coaching thoughts. Just told the boys that have time to go out and bloody hit the hurl, hit the slitter, and sometimes that's what you have. There is an element possibly in the coaching for you of overcoaching as well, and players want to play, and players generally have intellect and they know how to play the game. Sometimes coaches are trying to build their game intelligence, which is fine, but it can go over the top, and it's striking that balance, which is key. And I don't know, was it one of the podcasts yesterday? I was listening to David Clark. I don't know if there was a dig at a previous management around it, but you can see Mayo now. The lack of maybe technology type players and looking at GPSs and stats and all that. If the naked eye can't see what's going on the pitch as a coach or manager, you're wasting your time relying on stats. And I think that's probably something that happened in the past. In particular, I remember Colin Boyle being taken off in the Ireland final, and the man was having an outstanding game, but something in the stand was relaying information that made no sense to the game, to the manager, and the manager makes a call based on that. And look, I'm not saying James Horn made a lot of really good calls, but I'm just trying to draw the comparison between getting the balance between coaching management and technology, and sometimes it spills over into the technology, where the naked eye of a coach that has experience and knowledge should really be able to pick that up on any given Sunday, which is whether it's hurling, football, or anything else.
Yeah, the eye and the instinct, isn't it?
It is, yeah. I mean, that's what it boils down to. You speak about the great coaches, the Guardiolas now, Artetas, Klopps, these guys. Even in the past, we've had it in Gaelic football. We've had, suppose, the beginning of Kevin Heffernan, Mick O'Dwyer, rolling on to like the Jim Gavins and these guys. They can spot it, and good coaches, good management spot that very, very clearly, because it's within the sphere of their game intelligence and knowledge, and they're able to deal with that in a minute in milliseconds. Yes, obviously technology will inform them at certain stages, and there'll be a lot of supports there, but I think really the good managers, they understand the Codys of this world, for example. There's many more, I'm just name checking a few, but there's many more who the difference between them has been able to actually dilute that information and make the correct decision at the right time.
It's funny, I follow racing an awful lot, and Willie Mullins, all his decisions are based on gut and instinct and what he sees every day. And it's funny, a lot of them, he would take in information and stats and basically stuff, but it's always his gut, it's always his eye. And that Colin Boyle one was really interesting, because the talk was it was GPS that had him been taken off at this point in every game, and it was mad, because in an All-Ireland final, just because the fella's in a red zone doesn't mean he can't bust the gut for another 10 minutes. It doesn't take into account what's inside the lad or whatever, but